ideally what we get here... Alright.
Okay. Good now. Get those slow. Okay, should be tolerable. Okay, this evening we are going to attempt a 2-game speedrun, beginning with Pool of Radiance, moving on to Curse of the Azure Bonds with the same party. Hence the party names I have here. Let's want to prep one of them fast. Rid of all of those. To get rid. Build a clean slate for speed. Should have done this a little bit. Problem is when I do multiple runs, especially with other weird names and stuff, those characters saved in the data field in the Curse of the Azure Bonds, which I need them gone in order to make run go a little bit more smoothly. So first bit of speed tech I have here is the names of my characters are lined up so they will arrive in alphabetical order above my other characters when I start a new game. I could make them even more optimized names, I guess, by like being AAA, AAB, AAC, etc. But having slightly interesting names is always more fun to me. That's just how I roll. So, let's go ahead and get this started. This with new route in Pool of Radiance and new speed tech, as in just the game running faster due to a community rising up and deciding they wanted a faster speed, and I was okay with that. This is going to be a lot faster than our 316, where I'll do semi-spoilers. We're going to go for a sub 2, should be able to make it. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's make sure that my command keys work because I'm actually in action. Okay, game loaded up. Now let's start. To begin Pool of Radiance, the first of the Gold Box series of AD&D games. If you've never seen me play one of these before, this is a very old game from 1988. We have no sound because sound makes the game lag. There's no music anyway. When it was ported to NES, they made a soundtrack for it. Nintendo did, and so that's what's playing in the background. I have it running off of a music player. I've downloaded all the music for it. First thing we need to do after getting this tour from Rolf in the City of Flan is set the speed to fastest possible. Then we need to go buy some weapons for our warriors. We're going to buy tridents and just banded mail. This may make the game slightly easier versus getting a shield. Actually makes it harder because of how the game does difficulties. And let's see, flail. I should try to get a faster weapon for her, but that's fine. Now, tridents are supposed to be two-handed, but they've got to make them two-handed in Pool of Radiance, so you can actually wield them with a shield. But again, that would lower my armor class below 1 and make potential random encounters more dangerous. We don't want that. So we're just going to ready these up. Enter here. Memorize our sleep spell. Memorize 3 Cure Light Wounds just in case. That's all we really care about. We're probably never going to use them, but it's very fast to do it and it's safe. So now we come into the slums. We're going to ignore almost everything in the slums now. There's faster ways to win. Approached by some angry kobolds, unfortunately, means combat you have to do. So let's take Agravain. Moderately large party because of my powerful group. But with some sleep spell, we can make a lot of the fights go easy. We'd have some minor sound effects if I turn sound on, but the game is so old that The rest of the Gold Box games, including Curse of the Azure Bonds we'll be playing next, are not like this, so we don't have to worry about them, but the game sound actually makes the game lag. It's unlucky to get a encounter we can't run from, especially one that has a that requires a sleep spell, but that's okay. We'll deal with it. We're getting a couple of quick experience points here that are free and worth a decent amount of experience. You get most of your experience not from fighting monsters, but from looting treasure. Definitely need to save here because these fights can be a bit too dangerous. Okay, they're avoiding us, which is fine. Okay, now we can actually rest here fine, so we're going to memorize. I could have done it back in the secret room as well, but I forgot. Alright, now we're going to come here, kill these guys to take their wagon. Now this will allow us to sneak into the castle most of the time. We pay 15 gold to be led through. Now we've entered the castle. Boom. We come in here to get a disguise. We don't kill these people because it doesn't save time. It actually costs time as they curse us and we have to go through a battlefield. Okay, now we need to save the game and pray for a bit of luck here as we come across these clerics of Bane. We need to try and put him to sleep, which is difficult, but it worked. Awesome. Supposedly, one of the other runners told me that that's a 75% chance of succeeding. So, very nice. Let's go ahead and trade that necklace, actually, aggravate, so it's easier to trade. Now we can drop these items. This is +1 magic plate mail and a +3 mace. He'll use it for now. Now we're going to go get a little bit more treasure, as well as one safety item right here first, actually. We get these ogres to leave us alone. Take a quick potion of speed, which we're going to be using to help in the Tyranthraxus fight. Just make it a little bit safer. Because it's actually a more dangerous fight than my regular any percent run. Now we come in here to talk to this old man. Save the game again, because he could be dangerous. He's not actually as harmless as he appears. By running past him, we actually get to force him to attack us instead of using his... Wow, how hurt is he? 18. Sheesh. Okay, there he goes. So he has a Wand of Lightning that can one-shot most of the party. Luckily, we deal with him with this, and then we don't have to worry about it. So now... I know, we dropped that, though, because we have bracers. Okay, now, this was worth a lot of experience, a lot of money, and a bunch of magic, a magic item in particular that will be useful for helping us speed through the rest of the run. If you watch my Curse of the Azure Bonds run, you know about the power of the Necklace of Missiles. We just got one. So, first thing we need to do, if you've seen my runs, you know what we need to do with that. Unfortunately, we have to go into a training hall in order to use it at this point. That's fine. Okay, pool, view items, identify this potion so we remember what it is. Let's go ahead and heal him as well. Okay, he's full, that's good. Now we're going to sell this ring and go ahead and sell this wand for a bunch of money. Raise this jewelry. Pool and share the money. 600 is enough for now. We'll need to get more money later, but we'll get plenty. We've come back from the castle, so I should time that as well. So right now we have enough experience, lots of experience for the cleric. Too much, in fact, but that's fine. Agravain does not have enough for anything yet, which is normal. That's okay. The 4 fighters can level up, however. Now we're going to go to So-Called Keep. This is one of the few quests that we'll be doing, and the only one that's semi-required. If you want to leave the city by boat, you have to complete this quest. Otherwise, nothing is really required in the entire game. And actually, I'm wasting a little bit of time here because I forgot that I needed to multiply my equipment, which is no worries, just a bit of time waste. Luckily, we move around quickly enough through this wonderful 3D span here that it's not a big deal. Okay, now we're going to save the game. Now we're going to remove Agravain. No, he's not the one we want to remove, actually. That makes things difficult. Okay, Agravain. you need to trade both of these there. Okay, now we remove Aggravain. Add bags. Now we go to Freya. And we trade... I didn't really need to trade the bracers. Oh well. We can do another person for safety or something. Okay, so now that Bags has this, we remove him from the party, drop the rest of the party. So the game allows you to make characters at any point and constantly reuse them and such. So what we've done here is that by adding this other character, Bags, to the party, and then trading the items to him, but then dropping our party and loading the game before we gave them to him, therefore the equipment is basically multiplied. It's a pretty interesting little kind of just exploit. Whoops. Come on, add bags. Okay. So we need to use. This exploit allows us to multiply up a bunch of items, and it's very convenient for the speedrun because necklaces and missiles allow us to cast Fireball, which for level 2 characters is patently absurd that we can just get an infinite amount. It has a limited number of charges, thus I need to multiply up a lot of them. But that is unfortunate. Okay. So, unfortunately, I just deleted Bags by trying to add him when he didn't exist. So now I have to create a new Bags. Not a worry. Okay, add Bags. Hopefully I don't delete Aggravain in that way or we're in a lot of trouble. Never done that before, but that's okay. Alright. Save the game again, add Bags, trade him all these necklaces, so that we'll have enough. I might not actually need that many, I'm probably overdoing it, but better safe than sorry. After all, this is my first actual run using these new strats, so very happy to just have this at all. Okay. Okay, now we'll add Aggravain back to the party. Does he still have the necklace? No. We'll trade him a bunch of the necklaces. We really have more than we need, yeah. That's okay. Alright, now, with this, we can actually go take care of so-called Keep. So So-Called Keep has been haunted as a lighthouse on a little island in the Bay of Flan, and it is a, now I have to do the password again. It doesn't remember it. That's annoying. I'm getting a lot of skeleton encounters too. Luckily, you give them this password, they leave you alone. So this lighthouse on this island in the middle of the, a little island just out in the Bay of Flan has a specter that is haunting it, and so they can't safely sail any ships anywhere. And so one of the first quests that they give you, technically the second quest, is to go out and cleanse the angry spirit by either killing it or whatever. As it turns out, it's one of the old guardians of the city back before it was taken over by the monsters, so soothing the spirit is perfectly fine for us. Easy to do. Fighting the specter would be very difficult for us at this level, even with the fireballs that we have. He could very easily kill one or more of our characters before we could kill him. But luckily, we can appease him by telling him the truth that, hey, humans have come back, we're taking the city back, and so he'll leave the shipping alone, and all will be good. So that's what we do now. We give him the secret code word of Lux, which we know because this is a speedrun and we know these things. He gives us a new password for the skeletons. I don't know why we couldn't just keep the old one. It was perfectly fine. Gonna go get some experience and items here, including a magic mace and a magic longsword, magic chainmail, shield for Abe because he needs all the best stuff. And I actually need to drop that. Okay. Fairly nice. Samo said, I don't know why we couldn't just use Chef's knee, but it changes once you appease him, though the skeletons don't go away. But now we take a boat back. Now we come and report our mission. Boom. Now we can use the boats, which will be important for later, get a bunch more money and experience. So now Agravain will be able to level up both of his things. Afreya will be able to level up as a cleric again. You have to go different rooms for each different person. You don't just level up, you actually have to go through the motions of visiting a training center. And if you gain too much experience, when you use the level at the training place, they will actually take away your experience that you've gotten, which is very annoying. So you actually have to earn more back again. Alright, now we're going to go to the Temple of Bane, which we're going to get the last item that we need to become all-powerful. We come into this little room to fight some orcs. Not a big deal, of course, because we have all these necklaces of missiles. This was a temple to Ilmatir. I should have taken that money. Now I'm going to have to get it sent out. Hopefully I'll get an encounter here that will let me skip an encounter. Weird thing, doesn't look like it though. So we have to do this one instead. That's okay. Again, you know, just a few orcs to beat. It's pretty inconsequential. I'm not sure if it's actually faster just to fight this battle or to deal with the encounter of the 4 shields. All you have to do is run away from them when they appear, but it means that they've alerted these guards that we're coming and they'll actually let us pass because reasons. Specifically, the priest wants us to find the treasure hidden in here, but we're not going to find it until after he's dealt with. So now we come out here. He attacks. This is a dangerous fight because if he goes before we can fireball him down, he can cast hold person spells, which will paralyze us. And similar to the sleep spell I used before, the reason that that was good is because sleep makes you helpless. The helpless status, sleep, paralyzation, any of these types of effects are give you a helpless status. And a character who is helpless will be automatically hit and knocked unconscious and dying from one hit, whatever it is. Unlike normal D&D, which you died when you went to 0 hit points or less, this game actually does give you a chance to survive. Going just down into dying, and you're actually only unconscious at 0, so you can be healed up again. Which is very convenient. It's a little bit odd because otherwise the rules are ferociously, terribly first edition high difficulty, which if you've ever played first edition, it is ridiculously difficult and complicated. And there are a lot of little perks we're doing. Like you may have noticed that we have maximum stats. The game allows us to do this, and because lower stats are essentially worthless in this game, I can't believe that fireball didn't kill him. We're just going to... if we can hit... He finally surrenders. Goodness gracious. Okay, now we can get some quick treasure. Let's see, any potions here? No, these are just the scrolls. The scrolls are kind of nice, but we have necklaces and missiles, so we don't need them. They allow you to cast spells or do other things. This is a bunch of magical weapons. We don't really need them. We'll actually give him a magical scimitar because he doesn't have anything better. Kind of just because I'm actually wasting time doing that, but oh well. Alright, this is the treasure we really needed, however. A wand and dust. And then 3 potions. I can't remember which potions are which, but one of them is speed, which is important, actually. So I actually need to trade them to A so that we'll have 2 characters capable of this. Alright. I'm gonna rest for a few days now. Because that's the fastest way to heal, even though I have a cleric and can cast healing spells. Now that we've killed the Temple of Bane, all the random encounters are gone. We can come back to this house and go exploring, open a few things for some more treasure. Some jewelry, mostly. Mostly we're getting it for the experience, because we need a little bit more experience than we would in a regular any percent run. Because... we have to 6 characters, normally in an 8% run, to make it go faster and take less experience. We actually use only 4 characters. It also makes a bunch of the things faster. Potion of Giant Strength is good too. I'll actually trade that back to Abe because he's my most powerful. Alright, and now let's take some of this jewelry. so we can sell it fast. Okay, that's good enough. Pool share. Alright, 1,000, so now we have all the money we need. A little bit more than the money we need, but that's okay. A little bit of safety again. Let's go ahead and train. Become a 4th level cleric. I'm not sure who I can train yet. I didn't bother to look. He can train his fighter, but not quite his magic user yet. That's funny. Doesn't matter, though. We only need to be level 4 to defeat the main boss, but we definitely need our mage guy here to level 4 as well. So we're going to be doing a little bit of extra stuff. Now we can train our mage up. Learn Stinking Cloud, most important spell that's level 2. Whoops, I got turned around slightly. Now we need to go and get a little bit more experience to get to a 4th level mage. So to do that, and get these guys to 5th level, which will help a little bit for the place to come. So now we need to go to the west. It's the fastest way to reach as far as I'm concerned. Wilderness encounters can be troublesome. If we parley with most wild animals that surprise us, we can't get away from. But humanoids, we can parlay abusive, and our extreme charismas allow us to convince them that it's not worth fighting us. So that's handy. I don't know why I'm saying this is like the easiest place in the game. So this is a big magical maze with a bunch of teleporters that will transport you, and they have different settings when something passes through them, which makes it more confusing to navigate the teleporters. But luckily, the solution's pretty simple. You turn left at the first intersection, and every time you hit a teleporter, you throw a rock and move on. And then we're done with it. We're now in this area. We have to answer this password, which is knock knock. It's a copyright protection boss. If we don't get it wrong, we die. Now here's all this machinery. We're going to move away quickly. Bash our way into here. Let's start combat with this mage. And now, once again, with all these necklaces of missiles, this mage is not at all threatening or frightening. Neither are his mutant lizard men. Now, this particular mission is normally skipped in any percent, but again, because I have 6 characters, my experience isn't dividing as easily, so I need to get some bonus experience to get my fighter mage up. So this is worth a lot of experience when you turn it in, and to the tune of 5,000. So it's actually the last quest I need to do to reach level 4 with my fighter mage, which is my only goal. I also get some more potions, which I don't really need. Bracers I don't really need either, but, you know, whatever. They're okay. They're as good as the banded mail and allow me to move better. There's other treasure we could go after as well, but it's not really necessary. It just slows us down, so we're just going to take a portal out. And even though we moved away from the equipment that was... I need to pass through. Even though we didn't destroy the equipment that's polluting the river, killing the mage did it for us, so... It's less... it's even funnier than in my old runs, because now the... we used to sleep for days to heal, but now since we don't take damage, it's pretty funny because the river hasn't had time to heal. Just magically killing the mage makes the machinery stop working on its own. So now we come and turn in this quest to the council clerk, get 5,000 whopping experience. She still wants us to clear the slums, which is the first quest in the game, but we're not actually going to do that. Hey, Desrup, bro. Alright, so now... should be able to level 5 cleric, indeed. Let's see. Can't change that. Oh, because that's right. The experience is divided in half. Blast. I still need a little bit more experience. That's unfortunate. That was an oversight on my part. What did I not do? There are a couple of little things that I didn't do. Okay. If we can train to level 4 fighter, though, that's probably enough, honestly. We'll just go ahead and go with this. So now we're going to enter the castle again. We're going to go to it, actually, in an interesting way, however. Rather than running through the slums, this is one of the other wonderful strategies that the other guys in the community came up with. You can come in here, and if you enter that part of the city from the side, you will instead able to enter Podal Plaza, and boom, we're at Vollingen Gate. Okay, now we're going to... This is a safe place to rest, so we're going to memorize Bless all the hold persons, although I really don't need them, and Prayer, so I can cast that before the final battle. And... Don't really need those either, but we'll go and memorize them just in case. Alright. I've saved the game. Now hopefully they will still... Okay, so they saw through our disguise. That happens sometimes. But now it works. We have a good chance of succeeding with our wagon that we stole from the person by killing him. Our other disguise still works, so... We come over here to the maze, give the password of Rhodia to get into the castle. Now we just have to navigate the maze, which is not hard, usually, although I turned a bit early there. Once you've got this memorized, it's pretty easy to go through. Come over here, we enter the keep, go through the secret door, go up these stairs, don't go down those stairs, the Medusa will kill us. Go up the secret door to the left, head over here, and voila. Alright. Now, we are going to use the dust. You're going to use the potion of giant strength and the potion of speed. Use the potion of speed. You know, oh, yeah, didn't have the shield equipped again. So now we are invisible and rough and tough. You go down these stairs, and Tyrant Draxus summons his guards at us. So unfortunately for these guards, they can't see us because we use Dust of Disappearance to make ourselves invisible. And this is superior invisibility that lasts until we took a bit of damage there, but nothing terrible. It lasts forever, essentially. Normal invisibility in D&D drops when you... oh, he's still there. I need to move him, too. Forgot about that. Well, I can hit most of these guys. Okay, now I can move you out of the way. When you attack or whatever, but the Dust of Disappearance is absolutely broken. And so getting it is the main thing you need to beat Tyrant Draxus and his minions. I mean, after all, we're fighting 12 8th level fighters, and we have 4 5th level fighters, plus, you know, a few others. Without some sort of an edge, this would be an impossible fight. They have a lot of hit points as well. 87 hit points is actually a lot more than most enemies that I fight in Secret of the Silver Blades, the third game, largely because that has a difficulty slider you can use to have their hit points. But even so, it's a lot of hit points. But they're dangerous because they have magical swords, even though we're invisible. If we're in melee, they can attack us, so we want to move out of melee. But now we can just use this on. This is still by far the fastest way to take care of them. If we got lucky with Hold Person and Stinking Cloud, we could possibly kill them all in one-shots, but that's a little hard, so... Alright, now the most dangerous fight in the game. Let's see. Give you the plate mail and actually the two-handed sword. I forgot about that. Ace, take the plate mail. Adder, take plate mail and two-handed sword. Aegon, take plate mail and two-handed sword. Freya, take a ring. Agravain, take a ring. Oh, Aegon just take a ring as well, actually, instead of the plate mail. And actually, stick to using your bow first. Use your bow first. Ring. Necklace. And then we'll have you use the wand after you're done with the arrows. So now we get to loot. While we're invisible, we get to loot the wonderful Tyrant Draxus' minions and use all of the equipment that they had against him. Delightful. Alright, we all set? Okay, now we're set. Unfortunately, we can't save before this battle, so if Tyrant Draxus kills one of our characters, we're in a bit of trouble, so... We're going to spread around mostly... He can't breathe at us because we're invisible, one of the other very important things of this game, but we want to surround him just so that we have a better chance of hitting from behind. He can still do a lot of damage in melee. Luckily, the fight went well, so that's over. Mortally wounded, the dragon roars. The spirit of Tyrothraxus flares up from the dragon's body. Because Tyrothraxus isn't actually a dragon. He's an evil demonic spirit that possesses bodies. He likes to possess the bodies of good creatures, like this bronze dragon. But he is eternal, and now he's escaping through the Pool of Radiance, or is called by his master, the evil god Bane, through the Pool of Radiance. We will see him again very soon in the next game, which we're about to start after this. So now we come in here, and actually, before we go and talk to the clerk, we need to come in here. Train to be a cleric. Now we get to train to be a magic user. It doesn't really matter. Knock is usually what I learn. Okay, we can't quite train our fighters, unfortunately. Unless Aggravating can train to be a 5th. Nope, that's okay. Alright, now... 45,000 experience, and that's the end of Pool of Radiance. Now, before we leave, of course, we need to train up our characters. We can't train as a cleric again, which actually is not a surprise. I don't think they can reach level 7. But now we can become a level 5 magic user. We're going to learn Haste, actually. It's a far more important spell than Fireball for these speedruns. Train to be level 6 fighters. And level... You can't be a level 5 fighter? Not quite. Oh, don't have enough money is all. Okay, view, trade to Aggravating. 500. Now he's a level 5 fighter. Boom. And he's almost enough experience to be level 6, apparently. In fact, all of them are just shy of getting another level. So, we'll go ahead and begin the game. Oh, I needed to actually... Okay. Now we need to remove the party so that I can transfer them to Curse of the Azure Bonds. So, I'm going to go ahead and exit the game so I can do that. Pool of Radiance. Yes, that is. Alright, so... Alright, now this should allow me to transfer them if I haven't forgotten how to do that. I will need to switch to... this one, which, nope, it's a little bit too much. There we are. On the fly. Oh no. Whatever. I'll try and fix that better next time. And while we're at it, we need to fix the music. Alright, so this is now the Curse of the Azure Bonds theme, and we're in the Curse of the Azure Bonds game. Where is our Curse of the Azure Bonds? We have 2 of them. That's weird. Alright. Oh no, now it's doing this. We don't want to do that. We have to quit. Alright, here we are. Curse of the Azure Bonds is 4-3, but for whatever reason, Pool of Radiance and Secret Silver Blades are in like an 8-5 format. Alright, now we're going to add from Curse... No, add from Pool... Abe, Ace, Adder, Aegon, Ephraia, and Aggravating. Boom, here we are. I forgot to cast my Bless and Prayer spell, which would have helped me. Oh well. Save the game as A, and begin adventuring. We awaken in a small room, we have these bonds on us, we're not happy. Let's encamp. Now we get a fix spell, which will allow us to heal instantly, or, you know, over time. It allows us to do everything. Spell magic to prayers. Those are the only there, so let's fix. Oh, I forgot to adjust the speed. We need to adjust the speed or this is going to go slow. All speed faster, faster. Exit, exit. Okay. So now we were kidnapped and knocked unconscious and we're not fully healed. Oh well, we'll get a chance to do that later. Need to come in here now to buy some weapons. And a lot of arrows. Freya, buy a flail, because it's best overall. So here I'm just getting the best stuff for us. We'll be using bows only in the for a short duration at the beginning of the game with these two characters. Our cleric will be using mostly a staff sling in the back most of the game. The others are pretty soon we're going to get the really most powerful weapon in the game for pretty much the entire game, except for one very late game only in dungeon weapon we could get if we wanted, but we don't. Now I need to actually go and train. Because I think the cleric can train now. Yep. But she'll get even better healing spells. The rest of the party can't train because they don't have quite enough experience. So we need to get a little bit of experience before we move on. So, oh, here's the curse. What's the curse? Oh, it's a bar. What's our pleasure? Punch barkeep. We get into a brawl. So, quick fight against a bunch of these bar patrons who are not very tough. 8 armor class, AC 7. It's still going to take a while because of the AI of the game. But that's okay. We'll slaughter through them. This will give us just enough experience to level the rest of our characters up, which actually is going to make the early part of Curse of the Azure Bonds go a lot quicker and easier than most of it. Survivors are tossed outside. There's a thing. We don't worry about it. Okay, now we train. Couldn't quite train as a mage, but that's okay. We have the spell that we really need. Okay, now we begin adventuring again. So now we need to leave the city. Unfortunately, guards won't let us leave the city because the king's coming. But if we're very persistent and ask again, suddenly first we have to talk to Sage Villani. She tells us about our sigils for half of our money. So that's why we needed to train first, so we had enough money to do so. Now we go, and suddenly the king's carriage is coming, and we attack the king's carriage. This isn't good. Why did we attack the king's carriage? We were controlled by these weird blue sigils we woke up with. Not only were we kidnapped and all our stuff stolen, but we have these weird tattoos on our arms, which are blue and magical and glowing, and obviously that's not good. And now we've discovered their purpose, because all of a sudden, we were compelled to attack the king's carriage. It turns out it's not the king, it's a kind of voice double they have. Oh, blast, I was supposed to surrender there. Oh well. That would have greatly speeded things up. Normally you wouldn't want to surrender, but they just toss you in prison and then thieves break you out because it's a traditional RPG prison that's totally incompetent. They don't even take your equipment away, again. So instead we're going to have to duck in here into this alley. And then we follow this thief, though, so it's not a big time loss. Very small, actually. Less than 20 seconds, probably. Now we can memorize more spells because we're higher level, so we'll memorize another prayer spell. Cure serious wounds to make our fixing even better. And we need to memorize our stinking clouds again. Alright, so now the thieves are helping us because there are these fire knives who are causing problems. These fire knights are a guild of assassins, and they're trying to take over the Thieves Guild here. They're even trying to overthrow the entire government. 2 holds, that wasn't bad. That makes this go a little quicker because they're helpless and we can one-shot them. This is with all these humanoids, this is a hold person, of course, only works on humanoids, but this is a really good fight to be doing it because of all these humanoids. And it makes our thief allies we have useful, as these fire knives break in to kill the guildmaster. So the thieves are opposed to the fire knives, but they're getting wiped out. Very sad. Okay, so he's helpless, he's helpless. Him. We're almost done here. He's helpless. Okay. 2 more helpless. This fight's pretty much as good as 1 now. Alright, that was a good fight. Now we need to save the game because any random encounters can be very, very long. We bash in here. We have to kill this poor fire knife and his doggos. Very sad. But right now all we can really do is a few wimpy spells and quick combat, but we're about to get some items that are very familiar because we just used them in the last run, actually. Both the Dust of Disappearance and Necklace of Missiles appear very quickly in this game. Howling from ahead, Fire Knives release their dogs. We don't want to kill the poor dogs, so we're going to reset. Curse of the Azure Bonds is definitely the worst. That's bad. Okay, good. You only get one try at opening this magically locked door. I could memorize knock spells instead, but... Okay, so we need this longsword for one fight, if I can remember where it is. The dust is the most important, of course. And the banded mail is pretty decent armor in this game. Now we can rest. Let's see, magic memorize more of those old persons. And the cure serious wounds. I didn't memorize them properly before. Alright, now we save the game. These thieves are the last remaining thieves. Once you get that encounter, you won't get it anymore. But it's a random encounter, essentially, like the fire knives. If you're very foolish, you can choose to attack them, but in a speedrun, we definitely don't want to. Now we have entered the sewers. Now let's see if I can remember the sewers map properly. This portion of the map, pretty bad at. Okay, we bargain with these guys. These Otyugs want us to clear out these other Otyugs. We're not going to do so because that is slow. Alright, I remembered this properly. So here's a quick troll fight we're going to do. I probably should have used haste before this fight, actually. But oh well. Oh darn, I didn't move. I gotta do that one first. That's unfortunate. Stinking Cloud is a very short-range spell, but it creates a little cube here, and people standing in the cube have a chance of choking and dying like they did there. Okay. This is pretty bad. And your characters are dumb enough to run into it as well sometimes, which gets them killed. Is Ace... Okay, good. He's just unconscious. They bandaged him up. It's not a big deal. This is mostly to get some okay stuff. The flail and staff sling, mostly. Mostly just the staff sling, actually. The bracers are okay, but I don't really need it. Luckily, this is a safe place to rest. But this magic staff sling will make sure that she's slightly more useful throughout the rest of the game. You find the secret door. There's a training hall here. I don't think that any of us can train. I don't think we have the money to train anyway, actually. So I guess it doesn't matter. Since we trained already. Gave half of our money away. But coming into this secret area allows us to bypass most of the rest of the sewers. And find a secret door to the south to enter the hideout. Through this other secret door, now we're in the part of the hideout that has no encounters. Now we can get encounters again, which is annoying. We don't want them, so we're saving the game just in case. You can't get an encounter here, even though it has things. So you move into the armory. And now we're going to take a necklace and a longsword. And a flail for Freya. That's why we didn't get the other one, because this one's +2. It's better. So if she's forced to melee combat, which she won't be often, but, you know, always better to have that. Now we are going to save the game and then quit to DOS so that we can reload the game. Now, in Pool of Radiance, in order to access the party formation screen, you have to load the you have to visit a training hall. But luckily, in Curse of the Azure Bonds, and Secret of the Silver Blades, you can reach it just by doing that. So now we're going to do the same trick we did before, except in spades, and it's the last time we're going to do it. So we're going to... Okay, it didn't mess him up. Oh, I must have rested or something. That's interesting. Usually before when I did this, and I used a potion of giant strength, it ruined my character's strength when I transferred over. But luckily that didn't happen. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Agravain, we remove. Save the game as A. Add Bags, so that Bags can carry some stuff for us. Good old Bags, the unheralded party member who is so vital to our success. Remove him from the party, overwrite him. Drop the rest of the party. Load the game before we drop the party. Add Bags to the party. Trade this stuff back again. We need 5 of these swords. Now, theoretically, you could up the speed by not overriding by Bags and making a new Bags, but that clutters up the inventory as well and makes it slower later on, so it's not really worth it. It goes fast enough when you're good at it, just doing it normally. Okay, let's see. So that is 4 swords and 2 necklaces. 4 necklaces, 4 things. So remove him, save A, add him back again. Alright, now, so we only need to multiply 1 more sword. And then it's just dust necklaces and, yeah, dust and necklaces, period. Shoutouts to the dramatic battle music while I'm doing this multiplying. This is the soundtrack for the PC-18, I believe, is the name of the Japanese PC that has this game. That they okay, so now you're full. All right, this is the last time. Remove him, override him, drop the party. Go to A, add Bags back in. All right. Also, it would kind of allow New Game Plus shenanigans if I were going around giving people... not overriding him after using him to give stuff to people. Okay, 3 necklaces, 4 necklaces, trade 1 to Agravain. 3 necklaces. Alright, bow is now useless because our people won't use it because they have a better sword. 3 necklaces. 3 necklaces. Alright, that's good. And 1 necklace because he's going to get better stuff later on. Alright, now we save the game. Checkpoint to the east. Take a step. Now we're going to cast. No, we're not going to cast anything. All we're going to do is use Dust of Disappearance. Ready use. And now we surrender the Fire Knives. They take us inside. And then the Fire Knives break out. They're attacking us only because they're in melee. They can't see us, so they can't shoot us. They all have bows, except for the mage who has spells. He would shoot us with lightning bolt. But because of the wonder of Dust of Disappearance, they can't hit us. And we have enough Dust of Disappearance that it's basically going to be a permanent effect the entire game. We're now effectively permanently immune to ranged attacks and to magic spells. Except for our own, but magic spells from enemies. They'll never cast them on us because they can't see us target. Even if they can drop AoEs, theoretically, they could be programmed to drop it on a blank area near us instead, so that we would at least still, take damage, but They aren't smart enough to do that. They just aren't programmed to. Hooray for super early 90s, late 80s, whatever it is, video game programming. Oh, gotta be careful with that, because our characters will use... In this game, they're stupider than in Pool of Radiance, actually. They will... In Pool of Radiance, they won't do friendly fire, but in this they will. So now we have a vivid dream about the rest of our masters. So we find out the Fire Knives were one of many groups that were... plotting our downfall. They're planning to use us, in fact, as their guinea pigs to do various deeds for them. The Fire Knives were planning to use us to eliminate the king. Next, we're going to go up against Dracandros, who has this really funky, weird plot to use us to instigate a war between the dragons by convincing us to attack the dragons in full view of the other dragons and him commanding us and us doing it. I don't know how it's one of the stupidest ideas I've ever heard, but the dragons are too smart to see through it too, so you only get involved in this fight with the dragons if you screw up. Which I actually could also do as a submission video. We could fight the dragons. It'd be a tough fight, but there's no reason I couldn't just get a couple more necklaces to do it. We'd be invisible for the battle, so it's not like it'd be that difficult. So now, let's see, I can do, that's fine actually. Yeah. Alright, only one left. So you always get this encounter with hippogriffs, otherwise we're mostly able to avoid most wilderness encounters. There's only one other we'll really need. Alright, let's enter the city. Visit the store. Identify an item just to... Oh, I need to pool my money first. And then identify an item to change out stuff. We only have 95, so we need to appraise some jewelry. Because once again, the only thing you really need money for is actually to train. So 48, that'll get us to level 9. That should be more than enough. Maybe not for him, but we'll get a little bit more later. Alright. So let's go to the training hall. Can we train yet? No, can't train the fighters, can't train the cleric, can train the magic user. We'll go ahead and learn Fireball now, although we'll mostly be using Haste. We definitely need that in this next area because the enemies are pretty much immune to Fireball. Some of them are totally immune, others are largely immune. So, go into there, go to the inn to memorize another Haste spell. Again, Fireball isn't that useful coming up. And that's going to be it there. Okay, now we'll go ahead and journey on to the Standing Stone, the wilderness, so we avoid encounters. This man here tells us that we have to destroy our masters. We don't know how he knows so much, but we really don't care. It turns out he's Tyrant Draxus, spoiler. Go to Assembra. Go by the trail to avoid friendly centaurs who waste time. Now we have to journey to Hap, and unfortunately we get our second wilderness encounter here, regardless of how we go. Once again, we want these people to show up. So these are dragons, and it's total RNG how big this fight is, because the terrain is totally RNG. We would like all three of them to get close to us immediately, but I am amazed that two managed to make it in this thicket. This is pretty incredible, actually. And then we'll just wait for the other one. So, they have breath weapons. Breath weapons are dangerous. Dragons in 1st edition D&D are not as powerful as in later editions. They almost never get to 100 hit points even, which is really crazy. Wow, that one came running around behind. A couple of good fireballs there. Good, now we can kill this one with fireballs. It's still faster to use the necklaces on these dragons at this point because we couldn't use a haste spell. And we're about to not be able to do it anymore, so might as well... Fireballs do not have as big an AoE outdoors, which if you've been paying attention, you may have noticed that I put it a lot closer than before. Unfortunately, you can't see the reticule of where it's going to explode. That's interesting. That's going to hit my guy. That will not. That's fine. Okay. So you just have to know the overall range. Occasionally I mess up. Usually I know it. Okay, now Hap is ruled by a bunch of drow who are in the service of Dracandros, as well as his Ifriti. Now, there are a bunch of random encounters you can meet here. We can talk our way past them. Normally, you would want to fight them because it reduces the amount of enemies in the actual boss fight, but this is a speedrun. We would rather fight one fight than many, and besides, we have Dust of Disappearance, which will allow us to just totally not worry about these drow. Normally they're all casters, so they would normally devastate us with fireballs and or lightning bolts rather, and hold person spells. But we don't have to worry about that. Go ahead and cast our Bless and our Prayer. And now we're going to auto-pick combat and just chop them down because Dark Elves are 50% immune to spells. They have 50% magic resistance base, and some of the more powerful ones have even more. Basically, it means they have a 50% chance of magic just not working, so it's not worth it to bother. Now, they are super happy with us for driving out, so now we're super free to rest here and do anything we like. So we're going to do that, get our haste spell back, get our Bless and Prayer spell back, fix up our wounds, save the game. Let's see, use another Dust of Disappearance. And now head in the wilderness to the caves. We found a map to the caves on the Ifriti, and this is where Dracandros is, and all of his Dark Elf allies. Now there is a connection to the, interestingly, the game has a location that, a tunnel here in the map that leads to Menzoberranzan, the Underdark land of the Drow. However, actually, yes, I do want to go here. So we need to give these characters, some of them at least, this Drow chainmail, because it makes them go just a little bit faster. Oh, darn. I shouldn't have dropped that. Okay, he needs, okay, I need to remember to, give him... Because this Drow armor is going away after, a while, so... Oh! Flee. Alright. Now we come in here, and we get this mark from Silk, which will allow us to avoid some things. Allow us to avoid some encounters. Which, normally we can avoid anyway, but it's just a little bit of bad safety. You just flee and you take a step back, until we kill the, Dracolich. If you try to go into Menzoberranzan, though, the drow will collapse the cave, so you can't really do it, but it's an interesting thing in the story that they have that. Guarded by salamander-led patrol. Again, chopping them to pieces. Now, we definitely need safety save before the next fight, because it's the most dangerous fight in the game. Of course, we are a lot more powerful than they would be in an any percent run because of the, because of our extra levels. We actually, because we're 7th level fighters, we get 3 attacks every 2 rounds, which means with haste on, we get 3 attacks per round, which basically gives us a 50% damage increase over level 6 characters. So, boom, he goes down pretty quickly. He can, even though we're invisible, he can actually, what is the thing? We'll go ahead and share that so we have money. That's easy money to get to use our thing. So now he does the dragon trick, but the dragons are smart and say, release them from your control and we'll see what they do. So we attack the wizard and the dragons say, well, obviously, they don't care about us, we're going away. You may notice the game is really fast. It's a lot faster than it was before because this game has actually developed, or not this game, the Pool of Radiance has actually developed a community now. And as a community, we decided to make the game a little faster. I use the default that GOG.com's DOSBox program makes the game, which is 3,000 cycles. However, now we're running it on 6,000 cycles. So most of the stuff is going by super fast, which makes it that much harder to understand what's going on. Okay, so now we're going to use this dust. We're again going to cast Bless, Prayer, and Haste. So this is the most dangerous fight in the game. Whoops. Darn, that's a waste. Because this is a level, like, 11 fighter, very powerful. He has debuffed us with a Word of Pain right before this fight, so that makes him doubly dangerous. Oh, I entered the Cave of the Dracolich. I have a very small chance of being able to hold him, in which case the battle is as good as won. So it's worth trying because of the time save if it happens, plus the safety. But luckily, we actually took care of him pretty easily. Again, reading very high level, although he almost killed Aegon. Holy cow. Now we definitely want his stuff. This is +3 plate mail, +2 shield, the best armor and shield in the game right here. We need to trade that to Adder, who I believe we threw away the stuff of, right? And now this is a +5 drow longsword. Like the drow armor, it will disappear when we leave this area, though, so... Okay, good. So actually trade this to Ace, so that he will have good equipment as well. Don't get rid of his stuff. Alright, now we're going to go back up and rest, because that was a really rough fight. Memorize our haste spell, memorize our bless. Our Cure Light wounds we wasted. Hold person, prayer. Save the game. Go downstairs. And now I need to reuse dust again. This will last for pretty much the entire rest of this area. I'll do one more. Now, unlike the previous areas, because there are only 4 enemies in this group, it's generally better just to fight through these, especially at the enhanced speed. Okay, now there's an illusion of the guy we just killed here. Now we get to kill owlbears. So this is the one time in the game we're going, or in this area, one of the few times at least, we're going to be using our Necklace of Missiles because we can use it against these owlbears. And if we're lucky, we'll get some damage on the drow as well, just like we did there. It's just a little bit quicker to clear out the owlbears this way. And, you know, occasionally get lucky on dealing some damage to the drow as well. The owlbears go down fast to the necklaces because of the very uncomfortable position we have here. We can't get all of the owlbears, but... Next time I run this, I need to go ahead and raise the volume of the attacks and lower the volume of the... Oh, we're pretty much done. We can't do anything more. Oh well, one more on the cleric. Didn't work. Too bad. Take necklaces off again so we don't use them in... Because we'll blow up the party there. Again, in Pool of Radiance, they're programmed... Both your characters on quick combat and enemies are programmed to do self-destructive things. But unfortunately, they aren't in the later games, oddly. So you have to be very careful with your having AoE magic items equipped, like necklaces of missiles or wands of fireballs. Okay, so this is a... Oh, Ifriti is the worst one because the Ifriti has 5 Dark Elves with him, so that's a party of 6 instead of a party of 4, or even 3, which some of them can be. So we're kind of unlucky in the random encounters here, but not a big deal. Especially with the higher speed, this auto-attacking just works through the battles pretty darn fast. With the visibility on, being immune to magic, we're not invincible, but we're pleasantly to the point. Now we're going to take a bunch of damage. Unfortunate. But nothing you can really do to prevent that. Okay, 3 salamanders are the easiest thing we can fight. They are lower armor class, immune to fire, of course, but they take damage from our frost swords a lot more, and so... Party of Dark Elves. This is another good one. It's only 3 Dark Elves instead of 4 or 5 or 6. Still getting a lot of encounters. Okay, we're going to go ahead and use a safety dust here. And a safety save. So now we're going to... Darn. He can't reach. So, wyverns can be dangerous. Like, if you think that games like, say, Final Fantasy Mystic Quest have very dangerous enemies with status effects, it has nothing on first edition AD&D. In first edition AD&D, not only, you know, in this game especially, are you helpless and vulnerable to a coup de grace if you so much as have a get held by a paralyzation or a sleep. If you're poisoned, you just instantly die. So anything with poison, from a barely first-level creature like a giant centipede, is a one-shot monster. A monster going one-shot kills if you don't make your saving throw. Truly absurd. And wyverns have a poisonous tail, and so since we're invisible, they won't charge us, but if we get close to them, they'll attack us and do that. So we don't want that to happen, so we'd rather stay at range and blow them up with fireballs. They're unfortunately not in a super great position, but we can hit multiple at once with most of our necklaces, and that takes care of them quickly enough. For the most part. Okay, that's the wyverns. Alright, and here's the final encounter. So we're going to do Bless, Prayer, and Haste again. Final encounter in this map, at least. Okay, so once again, we're actually going to use the Necklaces of Missiles, because Dracandros has an invisibility effect, so we can't target him, same as they can't target us, but because we're smarter than the NPCs are, than the programming of the enemies, we can target his buddy, and even if he's immune to the spell, we can still target him. He has the chance of not resisting anyway. And so if we... and he'll get hit by the fireball, and that will prevent him from casting. He can still cast dangerous spells like... and actually at this point it's probably going to be faster to quick combat instead of fireballing anymore, because the Afridi take damage from fireballs actually, even though they're fire monsters, but they do take reduced damage at least, so it makes some sense. Dragons, however, don't. Dragons are not immune to their own breath weapon, which is pretty terrifying when you think about it. And especially with the haste spell now, don't even worry about anything else, just cleave down these guys, and the battle is won, and we get double experience and treasure from this. So Agravain is first going to pick up these bracers and ring, which are will allow him to drop his plate mail because it's slow. And then we get more treasure, including the Helm of Dragons, a MacGuffin which we'll never see and which has almost no use in the game. And we get 2 wands and another ring which doubles his spells for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd level. Alright, so with these in tow now, we can also get a random encounter right after this fight too. Like literally as soon as it's over. Thank goodness we can go into the wilderness now. Depart. Our drow stuff is gone. Now we will journey to Asembra. By the trail. Enter the city. Alright, first place we want to go to is the store. Let's, we need to re-equip our stuff now. All of you who were, wearing that. Alright, what kind of money do we have? We don't really need to change anything out, so we're fine. Go to the hall. Can we train? Yes. Training doesn't do big stuff for us, but gives us some more hit points, and we really need it if we were going onward. Agravain getting level 7 is important, though, because now he gets 3 attacks every 2 rounds as well. Or 3 when he's hasted. Let's see. Now we can... Let's go ahead and go to the inn so we can rest. We get a lot of spells now because we got a Ring of Wizardry. So now we can get double haste and double fireball. The fireballs will come in handy in a couple places. I really don't use them much, but I don't need that many hastes either, so good to have them just in case I want a bigger fireball spell than what is offered by other things. Okay. Now it's time to journey on to the Standing Stone again. We meet the man, thank him, move on. We go to Hillsfar via Wilderness, so we avoid encounters. We journey to Ulash via Wilderness, so we avoid dangerous encounters, and we ignore the green roped group. Dracandros is dead, by the way. Forgot to split that, because I always forget. Not always, but often. We're going to ask permission. We get hit by a horse on the way out. We talk to the guards. We parlay with them. We go with the guards. And now we're going to save the game and quit to DOS. We do this to manipulate RNG. I don't know why it works, but it does. Based on the decisions I make, I have essentially a 50% chance of pleasing the commander and avoiding a whole lot of battles. Including the battle that would guarantee my favor with him. But I don't want to fight that battle either. So if I just go and talk to him, I always fail. but if I quit the game first and then go in, I please the commander, and he allows us to pass through this area without any trouble, so we don't get any fights. So now we come down here. We always get this encounter because of the RPG manipulation. We just flee from it. These red plumes should be our friends, but they are deserting, so they attack us even if we try to assure them that we do not want to fight. Need some more dust before this fight, and I'm going to go ahead and cast one of my haste spells as well because it can be annoying. Kind of a bad position, actually. This is going to be... Oh, he surrendered. Excellent. He can cast Fire Shield on himself, which, like Dracandros, I didn't fully explain that. It deals the exact damage back to you that you deal in combat, and we don't want that. We let the looters go. Oh, they probably stole from us, didn't they? Oh, well. We don't really need money for anything now. We just flee from that fight. There are a few fights we can flee from. Now we're going to fight some shambling mounds. Luckily, we're only fighting 2, it looks like. That is best RNG. We can fight up to 6. It's random how many they choose for this fight. This is a set fight that's going to get us a couple more nice wands. We're going to get a Wand of Defoliation and a Wand of Lightning. Lightning we don't want to use, but Defoliation is going to do extreme damage to any plant monsters, which this dungeon happens to be full of plant monsters. How convenient. And we just got attacked by the Zen-tull soldiers. How annoying. I need to take out this wizard before he does something. Okay, now we can chop off these guys. Normally I'd like to just quit rather than doing this, but especially with the faster loadings, the faster working speed, it's probably just as good to chop through them. Although the fight isn't going super well. Yep. Now really it's a dead cultist who, we don't know how the cultist died, but these shambling mounds are very carefully trying to drag the body away, it describes. So apparently it was using the thing probably to terrorize the shambling mounds and keep them in line, and after he died from whatever killed him, he, they are trying to get the wand away. So now we enter the Pit of Moander. Now the Cult of Moander is somehow going to use our bonds in an undescribed way to allow us to resurrect their dead god. We don't really get it, but, you know, whatever. It's the story. Yes, it was a dead cultist. But it is very convenient that we immediately encounter a dead cultist who happens to have a weapon that is perfect for this dungeon. So now we're going to get our 2 companions, Elias and Dragonbait. Attacking them is actually faster than talking. She says, "What are you doing? Just join us," and she will. It's actually very hard to fight these 2. You can if you really want to. But, okay, so this is the final, or the ultimate battle, not really the last battle. We need to use another dust because these 2 are not dusted, and that will disrupt the enemy AI if they can see them. We don't want that. We also want to go ahead and cast our other haste spell, and cast our bless and our prayer, as usual, because these are 2 big fights in a row. Here's Mogion. She controls us, but somehow the thing fails. Only part of the god comes through, and we're able to attack. So... most of our people are just going to run in and do combat. It's fine. Agravain, however, is going to put his new fun toy to use. Because this is just too good. So take off our longsword and use our Wand of Defoliation, and it will hit 3 enemies in a row for super heavy damage. We don't want to quick combat him, though, because he'll try to hit people with the wand as well, which is not good. Okay, now, you in the meanwhile, we're not as scared of all these clerics because, again, we're invisible and immune to spells. But they are... It is just fastest to blow them up with fireballs. We haven't used it before, though, because shambling mounds are immune to fireballs. Again, stuff immune to our most powerful attack. 2 segments of this game. You have to go without fireballs for most of the combats. That's okay. We kill Mogion. Mogion may actually end up surrendering. Nope, we just killed her. Okay, that's battle 1 down. Yes, we want to go back and get the treasure. We want to get her plate mail, shield, and cloak. We could give the mace to our cleric, but then she would stop being ranged, so we really don't want that. Alright, now we have another heavily armored soldier. Dimensional Rift snaps shut, and now we have to deal with the Bits of Moander. 3 pieces of this god. Each have 140 hit points. Now, by standing here and attacking this, I get both of these Bits of Moander. The hitbox for the Bits of Moander is a little janky, so it has a 3-square range and it's supposed to hit everything in the line. But if you pass through one guy to hit the one beyond it, it doesn't work for some reason. The only way I've found to hit more than one bit of Moander is by doing this right here in this position. Our 2 companions are just shooting arrows. They do a little bit of extra damage. The game goes so fast that they're a little bit of a help. So, you know, whatever. Elias wants to get the treasure behind the altar because she's an adventurer, but whatever. That's slow, so we're not going to do that. Okay, that's the Bits of Moander dead. Elias and Dragonbait are actually the main characters of the novel Azure Bonds, upon which this game was actually based. In addition to being... It's a double sequel. In addition to being the sequel to Pool of Radiance, the video game, it's also the sequel to Azure Bonds, the book. Although it is not canon, there are several characters killed in this story that come back in the later books that follow that storyline. So Adder is getting a little bit hurt, but he should be okay. Luckily, we can use our... We're attacked by Veg Pygmies. This is a set battle, and it is perfectly fine because... Vegapygmies are actually vulnerable to fireballs in addition to defoliation, so we can get a lot more of them with necklaces and missiles and fireballs, so load them up. There we go. That'll get most of those. Getting weak things. Unfortunately, they're not actually weak to it. When I say vulnerable, I just mean we can actually affect them, because there's so many things right now that are immune to the fireballs. Very annoying. Okay, now we'll just chop them down. Now let's see how lucky we get. Again, another set encounter, but we can evade giant slugs. Good luck here. We didn't get any other encounters. So now we can use more necklaces of missiles to blow up these guys. All the cultists and the Vegapygmies. I'm a lot worse at menuing sometimes than I should be, considering how often I play these games. Alright, now we're going to use the other wand, which is Ice Storm. I remember what these are, amazingly. Okay, and now we're just going to go back to quick combat, because pretty much everything we can blow up with fireballs is done. She is not equipped, so she can just do that. Unequipped necklace, quick combat. Unequipped necklace, quick combat. Shambling mounts take half damage from ice, but they do take some damage, which is why I decided to use the Ice Storm there. But now that most of the things we can really hit are dead, I'm going to go ahead and go back to hitting 3 at a time with the Wand of Defoliation for heavy damage that can't be resisted. It's like high teens, low 20s is what it does, sometimes up to high 20s. Leave them down. Wand of Defoliation to defoliate these things. Shambling mounds are basically big piles of sludge and plants and stuff. They're Swamp Things, if you've seen the Swamp Thing comic or old TV show from the 80s. Except they're evil. You know, the Swamp Thing was a hero. Anti-hero kind of, you know, the usual kind of traditional comic book hero. People feared him because he was a monster, but he really used to be a human and had a good heart. I should have gone ahead and blown him up. It's heavy, guaranteed damage. I thought they can finish the last guy. Finally. Cleric did. Good job. And now we get to leave. Elias and Dragonbait bid us farewell. Alright, now we journey on to Zen-tull Keep, Wilderness, to avoid fights. We're going to go ahead and camp first and memorize all our spells, because we're not going to get another chance to sleep for a little while. Alright, enter the city. Until Magic Shop. Let this guy go. It helps avoid encounters. seem to get more encounters. Oh. If we flee, they attack us. Hopefully... Nope, darn, I did it wrong. This is actually kind of bad because they could potentially get me. I can solve this relatively easily. I don't need this anymore. Let's use this wand because it's a slightly shorter range. We'll get all of them. Oh, I forgot you. Luckily, it was a small group. Usually, I don't get encounters here, but sometimes you do. You have to say the right thing. I was supposed to talk nice, not meek. You talk meek to soldiers, nice to clerics, and sly to wizards. And let's go ahead and use our dust. We still have plenty of dust. Just in case we get into another encounter. We meek to them and they'll let us go this time. 2 encounters is pretty rare and bad for here, but I was lucky in other places. So now she takes us to save her friend Dimswort. So we rescue Dimswort. She takes off. We take Dimswort along, but he's a MacGuffin. He isn't actually a party member who joins us. So now we will come through here, and this hooded woman promises to let us go. We follow her. We're led to a corridor, and this beholder is trying to find out what the Zen-tull want with us, and a big fight breaks out around them. Oh good, didn't get into an encounter here. That's lucky. One last one here, I'll take it. I'll take it. This is fine. This room, so basically what's going on now is that the Zen-tull Keep has a bunch of good magic items that they've secured. They're like Holy Avengers and other powerful weapons that can only be used by good people. And so they wanted to use them, of course, as weapons in combat to against their enemies, but, you know, they can't use them because the Zen-tull Keep is a group of evil-aligned Bane worshippers, some of the most terrible, basically the most infamously terrible nation in the realms. Maybe the Red Wizards of Thay are more hated, but it's pretty close. And, but because they're, you know, evil, the servants of Bane are likewise extremely competitive, and they hate each other, and Dexam, who is a beholder who serves Bane, is a rival of Fazal, who's the leader of the Zentarim, who are here, as they are called. This is actually a good spot to use a Wand of Lightning. Fortunately, being up against the wall made it a little bit harder to use the fireballs here. It's a very, but when Dexam bursts in, so Dexam leads us here. He knows, he's heard about us and is planning to use us against Fazal or find out what he plans to do with us and the bonds and how they work. But then Fazal busts in and that is, when did I last save it? I think it was just right now. And when they argue about it, and Fazal says that essentially you only do anything to these people, they're my possessions, you only do anything to them over my dead body, he says okay, and turns him to... goodness. Yeah, that's a big encounter, I don't want that. And disintegrates him with the disintegrate way, because that's one of the things beholders can do. And so then a big fight breaks out between the Banite priests that serve Dexam and the Zen-tull Keep soldiers that we cheese. Getting bad luck there. That happens sometimes. Get it sooner than the last time. I've entered the Cave of the Beholder too. And so you have a good chance of getting attacked in every square in that room, so I often have to do a lot of reloads or stuff. The last place is generally not bad. Okay, this is a set encounter. Before I remembered that, I would do things like constantly reload when I got a fight on the square, and then remember, oh yeah, it's a set encounter. I have no choice. Ice Storm. So that's going to get my guys. That'll be fine for right now. So now we have to fight our way through the Cave of the Beholder, which is overcome by Zen-tull and Bay Knight Priest, again, dueling with each other. We also have to trek down Dexum. Even though Dexum killed Fazal, and so that actually freed us from our Zen-tull Keep Master, Fazal still has, or Dexum has a MacGuffin that we need in order to free ourselves from Tyrant Thraxus, so we have to go after him. Luckily, even though he's a Beholder, he can't hit invisible people either, so we are just going to completely easily deal with him when we find him. Spoilers, I guess, but... Backed by the forces of Zen-tull Keep. Pretty high encounter rate area. It's definitely one of the more annoying spots in the entire game. Yeah, sometimes the RNG is crazy. It's really funny. Certain RNG things are guaranteed to happen when I load up a new game, and others are totally a mystery, like this dungeon is. Like, when I first go into Ulash, I know every single time that I've done this, he's quitting and reloading makes the commander like me. And then I always get the encounter with the deserters right before that one building I go into where the one guy, where the Zen-tull Keep soldiers I had to fight are. But then in this case, and some other things are manipulated too. For instance, let's see, we have enough dust left. We have plenty. We're going to go ahead and use one of our haste spells here, one of our prayer spells here. Because here's the fight with the Beholder. Just making sure, I'm pretty sure it lasts, but I like to use safety dust just in case, because nothing's worse than not getting something. So rather than Fireball, I need to kill the Medusa, because the Medusa, like the Dracolich, can gaze through the invisibility for whatever reason. The Beholder can't, but the Medusa can. I don't know why that is, but it's an effect of the gaze. I guess because technically, it's looking into their eyes, not them looking into yours. Which actually kind of makes sense, and is surprisingly logical for this game, considering how it is. There are also a few features in this game that are surprisingly logical and well functioning, considering how old it is, and especially that it's running on first edition D&D rules, which are... Most people grew up playing second edition D&D rules. First edition rules are worse in every possible way. Pretty much. Although I still have a nostalgic love for them, I really do. But I cannot argue that they are a bad rule set. So now the poor little Beholder gets spanked as well, and voila. He has some random treasure, we don't care about it, but we get the Amulet of Lathander. This is a random encounter, which once again is guaranteed RNG for some reason. Whenever unless I take at least one random encounter since my last reload before the fight with Dexum, I get this one. Since I still have haste on, I go ahead and take this. It's easier than taking another one earlier, since it's set anyway. You're just gonna quit. And I think, did he just surrender? I think he did. Yep, okay, good. Save the game so I don't get any more random encounters. This is another set encounter, actually. I was just about to reload and then I remembered, no, there are 2 battles left. This is the first of 2 battles remaining, so... Take these guys out. And I'm home free in this area. Oh no, I've used up one of my necklaces. Surprised that I've only used up this many. I must have gotten some really good rolls or something. Or I've just been killing a lot more with regular fighting. Okay, here coming up is the last encounter, and it's moderately difficult, so we're going to go ahead and cast another Haste and Prayer. Because it's another Dark Elf Lord, he's not as powerful as last time. He has a bunch of other guys with him, though, that we have to take care of. All these Manticoras. Luckily, he's usually in the back, so we can clear them out and then go after him. We're a little bit tougher now, so it's not as big a deal. You don't get the equipment from him, though, even though his stats are otherwise identical. Sad, sad. No more +3 plate mail, like the suit we got from Mogyan as well. But it's just how it goes. Okay, I actually have to equip my sword again. Usually goes down before this even. Sheesh, he's being very annoying today. Okay, there we go. Definitely save the game so I can avoid any last encounters like this one. Get me out of here. Safety save so I can reload, and voila, we made it through. Okay. Now we journey to Ulash by Wilderness, journey to Hillsfar by Wilderness, enter Hillsfar. If you try to come in here when you have the Zen-tull Keep mark, Hillsfar is a big enemy of Zen-tull Keep, and they hate you, and they will try and kill you. So, can't level any of those people except for a level 7 mage, which means I get Ice Storm. Yay. Everybody else just doesn't quite have enough experience to level, which is unfortunate, but oh well. Alright, so you can say begin an adventure. Go to the end so we can memorize our spells again. Alright, now we journey to Standing Stone. Be a wilderness to avoid encounters. Oh, here's our impossible chasm. We got it differently this time. So now Tyranthraxus reveals himself. Thank you for... I told you where to go to wipe out my allies, so-called. Thanks for doing that. Now I'm going to control you all myself. Come to Myth Draenor to meet your destiny. So we go to Myth Draenor. This is actually the graveyard, not the true ruins of Myth Draenor. We attack the spirit because it's really a Rakshasa in disguise and we want to avoid it. Insects appear. Luckily, we can parlay and avoid the fighting by telling them that our master is Tyranthraxus. They don't serve him, but they don't want to fight with him, so they let us go. We go via the woods because this is safer. Oh, we definitely need to as well use a dust. We avoid this fight. There's a fight we're not going to be able to avoid up here. We unfortunately have to do this, but we surprised this Rakshasa. Yeah, there's no way to avoid this. It's still the easiest way to go, though, avoiding things. Rakshasa's hard to hit, but not that dangerous, especially since we surprise him by playing dead after taking a little bit of damage. It's not a big deal. Now we've entered the ruins of Myth Draenor. Now we're heading towards a large ruined temple. We continue. Are you fully prepared? Yes. And now Tyranthraxus takes control of us with the bonds, and he's trying to dispose of the items that are his bane. But Nameless, the person who created Elias and is a big person involved in the in that storyline, he manages to free us, although Tyrant Thraxus kills him. Rip Nameless. Thankfully, he doesn't actually stay dead. He's in the later books by Jeff Grubb and the other writer. I can't remember their names. I need to look it up sometime so I can properly talk about them when I'm speedrunning this. I really loved the book, but it has been years since I read it. I need to reread it, I think, too. I was a kid, so that was like 20 years ago. This is a great spot for lightning bolts, bad spot for fireballs. Darn. Well, you can use a fireball necklace. We can hit fireballs in this group at least, so. There we go. Now again, we can get lots of encounters here, including one right after that thing if we're unlucky, so. There's Maidens of Tyrant Thraxus. How many are there? Too many. We can get encounters with as few as 1 or even 0 enemies. It will literally say you're attacked and then immediately go to the victory screen and you earn 0 experience, because you defeated a random encounter with 0 enemies. It's the most hilarious thing in the in a lot of games. I wish I could make it happen. That'd be really great. 3 of those guys, fine, whatever. Oh, that lightning bolt's... Oh well. Okay, last level. We're coming up on the final boss. Maidens of Tyrant Thraxus. How many of them? Too many. In some ways, Curse of the Azure Bonds has become my least favorite of the speedruns because, even though it was my favorite game for the longest time, because of the fact that the random encounter luck is so bad. You get so many of them and you can't do anything about them except fight them or reload. But here we are, final door. One last dust, just to make sure it doesn't run out in the middle of the combat, because you never know. Cast a haste spell. Cast a bless and a prayer for maximum power. Save the game one last time just because I'm like that, even though this is a pretty easy final battle. We fight Tyrant Thraxus' minions. Now, as you explore his Temple of Bane here, you can actually reduce the number of these enormous encounters by fighting a bunch of these other places and wiping out stores of troops and things. But, you know, or we can just take on Tyrant Thraxus with our invisible... super-powered necklace of missiles and easily win the game. It's a lot faster than running around and doing all those and getting more random encounters. Who would have thunk? Wow, powerful fireball. There's some powerful items we can get in this area, but again, takes too much time. Okay, now we get to use our super awesome running to just take down the rest of them with weapons. Why not? Is that it? That's it. Now we destroy Tyrant Thraxus' Pool of Radiance with the Gauntlet of Moander we got from Moander, and our last bond is gone. We are free at last. Knights of Mithranor rush in, having subdued the rest of the temple, and they take us off to celebrate our victory over Tyrant Thraxus. You have won. End cutscene. Voila. 2 games beaten in 1 hour and 36 minutes. As a note/reminder... last year, at RPG Limit Break, I ran just Curse of the Azure Bonds. And, that took me, loading it up real quick to investigate that again. A reminder of the exact time. RPG Limit Break 2019. I ended up finishing that in... $136.59, in fact. Quite hilarious. Quite appropriate. I finished in roughly the same time, or just a tiny couple milliseconds longer, to beat just Curse of the Azure Bonds, versus beating 2 games in 1. That's my 2-game speedrun. Part of the reason for this, of course, is because, again, just the last couple months, amazingly, there are several people who are now running Pool of Radiance, or who have at least put in runs. They're not like doing it regularly, and neither of them stream, as far as I know, but they did put in their own work, came up with some new routes, and especially Rich B from Australia came up with the route that I adapted for the 2-game party continue. He developed the 4-party strat. He's the world record holder now for both any percent and 100%, both coming in at 10 minutes for any percent, 50% for that. But also, as a community, they wanted to maybe up the speed a little bit, because when I started playing this game, I just used the default speed of 3,000 cycles, which is what this is the GOG.com Forgotten Realms archives, and it automatically sets up DOSBox for you, makes these easy to play. It's really nice. And it sets the CPU speed at 3000, but you can adjust that by playing with the config files. And they wanted to run it faster. They'd played with a bunch of different speeds, and finally we decided that 6000 was pretty fast. So, since we're doing 3000 officially for Pool of Radiance in a community, I decided I might as well do the same speed for my other gold box speedruns, because it doesn't make sense to do a different speed for different ones. You know, they're all operate pretty much the same. So Curse of the, that's why I was able to do Curse of the Azure Bonds so fast as well. Everything was going so fast because the cycles were twice as quick. Maybe too fast, but it does make a lot of those random encounters a lot easier to deal with as well. And of course, with the Pool of Radiance, just totally blew my Pool of Radiance thing away. But very nice that I can do this. Next step, which I'll be doing probably on Saturday. I really need to get it done on Saturday so I can properly get it ready for RPG Limit Break submission, is a triple game gold box run. We're going to run Pool of Radiance, and then to Curse of the Azure Bonds, and then this party would go on to Secret of the Silver Blades. It's going to be a slightly different party, because I need slightly different party for Secret of the Silver Blades, but yeah, that's what we're going to go with for them. So thanks for watching. This is my brand new super awesome 2-game party continue run, and I'm proud of it. I'm grateful that I had these map viewers here, even if they're quiet. But that was a very good run, very pleased with that, and yeah, I'm going to continue doing more gold box in the future, intermittently along with my Soul Calibur. In a couple weeks I'll actually be streaming a lot more regularly. Sadly, it's going to start after RPG Limit Break submissions are over, so I can't grind out super submission videos, but you know, whatever, I'll have lots of time to work on the ones I submitted, and possibly anything that eventually, if it makes it in. But again, thanks for watching. That's all for me tonight. I have got to get to bed so I can go to work in the morning. So, you all have a good night, or whatever time of day you may be at in the world, and I will see you later.